You can live a life full of love and light if you just let the Spirit guide you. It's the remedy where you'll find peace, but you must let the Spirit guide you.
Who made y'all priests?
What's up, world? This is our Fafore.
What's going on, good people? This is our Oseun. Welcome back to the Who Made Y'all Priest podcast, where we talk about our spiritual journeys, our everyday life experiences, and the issues of the time from the perspective of two people who just happen to be priests. Fafore, man, you looking sharp over there, man. Where you get them threads from?
Oh yeah, man. For the special occasion, I decided I was gonna dress up. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like Jadana at the BET Awards or Jadana, whatever dude name is in Nigeria.
Nah, that's one of them. That's one of them. You ever been on one of them boats with the glass bottom when you can see the when you can see the water in the seashell?
I like the bottom of the ocean is what you telling me.
Yeah, man. You know that look fly though, man. I can't all the way see it, but I envision like seashells and starfish and stuff like that. Oh no, it's just some cool geometric designs, huh?
Yeah, something like that. No, I got it. I got this in Nigeria actually. Yeah, so
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, the family I went with were Nigerian, or Igbo to be specific, and they were going back for a funeral. So the family had the same print and got clothes made. So since they adopted me for the trip, I went ahead and got me, you know what I'm saying, a little outfit. Or actually, I just got the shirt actually because they ain't have enough thread for me to do the shirt and the pants. So basically, I had this on with some Jordan hoop shorts and some shoes.
Looking real American.
Yeah. I was looking real dapper up top, but looking like I was ready for a game of 21 on the bottom. So,
Yeah, man. Don't have them Nigerians over there beat you in basketball, man.
No, that wasn't happening.
Speaking of basketball, me and you eventually gonna have to get on the court because it's been a lot of back and forth about who gonna do what to who. So we're gonna have to figure that out. We're gonna have to hash that out.
Yeah, in all honesty, you don't want that smoke. Just you really don't, but
yeah, man. Yeah. I faintly remember a picture of you on Facebook after you had sprayed that water bottle on your face and then took your picture and then you took your picture with a basketball, act like you had really been hooping. I remember that, man.
Yeah. You know what? Muscle memory. The jumper was just back. Like I never left.
Right.
We can spell bad news for you, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
if you want it, we can get into it.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have to do that, man. We're gonna have to do that, and then we're gonna have to report back to the people and let them know what happened. Awo versus Awo.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. So
this is our season finale, man.
Season finale, man. It's done, man. This healing journey that we've taken throughout this entire season is finally coming to an end. I know that our season has not been exhaustive. We have not touched upon all of the different healing modalities, but we have touched upon a great deal of them for you all to be able to use and implement into your daily lives. So hopefully you all have found a modality or modalities that you can implement into your daily ritual that will help you on your healing journey.
So speaking of what you just now said, for all the people who we talked to over the years, what modality do you think you're going to walk away, like using or implementing on a regular basis?
Definitely the sound therapy. I think I lean more toward sound. I find that when I try to meditate, I say try to meditate because I feel like I don't meditate. But when I try to meditate, I feel that sound helps me. It's difficult for me to focus on my breath, but it's a lot easier for me to focus on sound. So with Ear Jackie and introducing us to sound alchemy and sound therapy and sound baths and things like that, that's something that I'm sure uh, to implement. I also do want to get into Reiki. I do want to look into Reiki, possibly learning it myself at some point. If not only just to do it for myself and my family, but yeah, I think I'll walk away using Reiki also. So, of all of the modalities that we've touched upon so far, which are the ones that you think that you'll walk away using the most? I know there are many, but the most.
The most, I feel like Reiki. I feel like I've been called to Reiki for some time. So part of the show and having EO Milana on was for selfish reasons too, because I wanted to have that opportunity to be able to dialogue with her about what she does with Reiki. And I think Reiki is one of those things where a couple of the people who came on, Ia Jackie, is a Reiki master as well. So Reiki is one of those things that a couple of the healers that we had on actually use that. So I think that is going to be something I'm going to implement on a regular basis. Going back to Ia Fashiwa, she was talking about mental health, that ITFL, that certification. That's something that both you and I are going to be certified in. So that's something that we're both going to utilize. Plant medicine. I'm going to tell you what. And people who, like yourself, who've known me for a long time, man, all that type of stuff is drugs to me. Right? Like all of that was crack. It was all in the same boat.
Right.
And there are a lot of people who practice African spirituality who still view all these things as drugs, right? Plant medicine up to this point, because it's the one thing that I've actually utilized somewhat regularly, has been really, really instrumental. Like I've seen things with using plant medicine that later came out in divination, whether it was with the Opuele and myself doing it, whether it was, my yearly with our Baba doing it, or even during things like dealing with intuitive readers and mediums who talk directly to the ancestors. It was revealed to me first using plant medicine. So that is something that, not every day, maybe not even monthly, but I would say on a consistent basis, I'm going to use that. But Reiki and then the ITFL is something definitely that we are going to adopt in kind of what we do on a regular basis. And like you said, whether I use Reiki for other people in their healing, or whether I just do it for myself and family, that's definitely something that I'm going to be a Reiki master before it's all said and done.
I feel that. Yeah, with Ia Fashiwa and ITFL, that's something you and I have talked about and feel like it's something worthwhile for us to do, to add that therapeutic, that counseling edge to our priesthood, to our divination when we're talking to people who trust us with their readings and things like that. Adding that to it, I think, is really going to be beneficial. That will also help us to up our the ritualistic aspect of our divinations and implementing some of the indigenous rituals and ways of healing, means of healing. I think that's going to really be beneficial. I also do want to shout out Goddess Jessie because I bought her sex magic book, and yeah, man, I think Goddess Jessie is on to something with her sex magic book, and it's not for everybody. That book is not for everybody because a lot of people are going to read it and feel that a lot of the things that she's talking about is taboo, and we've
Right.
talked about that too. How sexuality and spirituality is kind of seen as taboo. But a lot of the things that she's talking about, a lot of people are not ready for it. They're going to see it as taboo. But I'm glad that somebody in the culture is talking about it. So that's going to be something that's useful as well.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned Goddess Jessie because her and I have been dialoguing because, as you know, during my Ishe 5, I was told that I should practice Tantra. And it's something that I've been interested in doing, but I'm interested in a whole lot of things. So it's really been about kind of prioritizing things. So Tantra is something that I'm definitely going to get involved with. I'm definitely going to study and practice Tantra. She actually sent me some information about something in regards to Tantra. But then, she looked at it some more for me and discovered that it was just for women, at least on this go round. So Tantra is definitely in my future as well. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Shout out to Goddess Jessie.
It's a lot of things. I'm like you. I want to learn about a lot of things and not necessarily practice it. I don't know about Tantra. I would like to learn about Tantra. I don't know yet about practicing it. I don't know enough about it to say that I would want to practice it. But I want to. I want to know about everything. I want to learn about everything. So,
Right, right. That's
so,
why we
so
got to hit the lottery, man, so we can not go to work.
I know,
That
man.
time we dedicated to the 9 to 5, man, we could just learn. Like if I could get paid, you know what? Let me not even say if, because we actually can get paid to learn, and that's
Right,
one thing that we understand in spirituality, that the things that we want are easily attainable if we change our mindset and we actually put in the work, whether that's the physical work and also the spiritual work to be able to obtain those things. So one day we will be getting paid to learn so that we can teach. You have a
right.
life path number of the master teacher, the spiritual guru. My life path number is a 7. It's all about teaching. It's about, so you got to learn in order to teach. So we're gonna make it happen.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It's in the works, man. It's in the works. I was listening to this YouTube video that talked about how human beings don't have a problem attracting to themselves the things that they desire. Our problem is that we have limiting mindsets and our emotional selves are not in alignment. So we don't have a problem attracting those things to us. We have a problem blocking them. They are there for us to attract to us, but we block them with our mindsets and with our emotional selves not being in alignment. So yeah, man, I
Right.
think we can do that, man. I know that's coming. It's fastly approaching, man. It's gonna be here before you know it.
Right. And then in our human design, both of us are manifesting generators. So, you
Right.
know, that's in our wheelhouse, man. We just gotta manifest it.
Right, man. Right. We gotta speak that into existence, man. We need that to fall into our laps.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, man. You feeling healed? Because this is 11 weeks of us focusing on healing. You feeling healed after this 11 weeks? This is when I was in school, we were on quarters. So a quarter was 10 weeks long. So this has been a week longer than one of my college classes when I went to
Right.
Wright State. So you feeling healed?
I feel that I'm further along in my healing journey. I don't know what that means when you say healed. I don't really know what that means. I do feel like I'm further along in my journey. I feel like the more I learn about these different modalities, the more I'm able to implement, and the more I'm able to implement, the more I'm gonna feel like I'm further in my healing journey. I don't know about the healed part though. Fully healed. I don't know about that because I'm still having experiences. So I don't know about that. I haven't reached that Christ consciousness yet. That's what we all are in search of. And no, I
Right.
haven't reached that yet. What about you? You feeling healed?
Hell no. But you know what though? Seriously though, what I do feel is the fact that I know that I have healing to do. So, which for a lot of people is the hard part.
Right.
I understand where I need to be healed or what needs to be healed. I've also been armed with some tools that help me through that healing process. So I do feel a lot better. And my detox actually helped assist with that. I'm still going through it. But yeah, I feel like I am definitely on the road to healing and prosperity. So before y'all know it, y'all gonna see me walking around in all white with the hooded cloak, knowing that I have ascended.
Right. And then that's when you're gonna start giving your sermons on the mount and all of that, huh?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm gonna start my church.
Right.
So you ready to get into this episode for into our guest?
Man, I'm ready to get into the episode, into our guest, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring on our guest. Y'all are going to thoroughly enjoy her and pay attention because she has this bright, beautiful smile. So here comes our guest.
Hey.
Hey, Aboro Boye.
Wofun Awos.
What's
How are
going on
you?
here?
Hey, I'm good. It's a sunny day. It's life is good.
Life is
Right.
good. Life is good.
And you got
Yeah,
the best lighting of anybody that's been on the show so far.
Right.
It's really literally is my window, and I live in like a courtyard, so I'm in the U, and the building is white, so it's the sun reflecting off the building. No lighting.
That's cute. That's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love your wall in the back. Those are all masks.
Yeah, I collect all things African, but I collect masks. I've been collecting masks since I was a little kid. And my mom would go to different places all over the world and just buy me masks. Wow. I think a couple of these I bought myself, but this lovely piece right here was made for me in Houston. I don't know if you guys heard about Sister Levita Rue. She transitioned some years ago, but she was making opans and cute little boxes, and she like carves and wood burns. So this is an opan that has my path of Yemoja, and then it's got a 7 and a mermaid, and it's all my Orisha. It's my favorite piece on that wall.
Oh, that's dope. I gotta see it up close.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, great. I can do it.
Oh yeah.
Can you see?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let me get it right, homie. So you can see.
Man, I am jealous.
Yeah,
and everybody was like, you should use that opan. I was like, I can't use it. It's too pretty.
Right. Exactly.
So it's an art piece on my wall.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, God rest her spirit. She was the daughter of Oseun, and she transitioned. I think she transitioned. It's been some years, maybe 8-9 years ago. But she was a member of OIDSI.
Rest in power.
Yeah, man. Rest in power, sister.
Yes.
Well, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and coming chilling with the young Owls.
I'm honored. Listen, I've been excited about this. Okay, I feel like and I will go back and forth between Awo and Baba for y'all. So Baba Fafore I felt handled. I felt like a celebrity. I was like the handler, so I would make sure the guests had all of the things that they need and had their questions. I was like, oh, this feels so good. He's Virgo.
Thank you.
A Virgo. I have a Virgo rising, so
Ashe.
Virgo.
Look at that. We got a lot of Virgo energy because Kimmy is also, I think she's a Virgo moon. So yeah, we have a lot of that good Virgo energy, which makes sense because
And
when
that's
we're talking about healing and those who are called the healers, Virgo, sixth house, house of servants, that whole Virgo energy.
okay.
Mm,
We need order. We need things to be in order, period.
right.
I should.
Right.
I should.
But it
Right.
also
So
translates sometimes to control. So you gotta be mindful. It's either order or control. I had to let go.
That is very
mhm.
true. That is
That's some
very true.
That's some EK stuff in there, huh? Right. Yeah. So again, we really appreciate you coming on and chilling with the Young Wolves. So we want you to introduce yourself to the people for us, like my brother Owl Fafore always says. We want all of the names. We don't want you to leave out any names. We want you to rattle it off and tell the people who you are.
Woo child. Okay. I am Ianifa Omitosa ni Fasha Duni Fasha wa Fayemi Ipega Awoyade Shannon King Omo Cynthia.
Yeah, we like all of that, man. We like to hear all of the names, and Fafore and myself, we always joke about not saying our full name because of how we sound against you all. Y'all got 45
Right.
names, and we pop up with 3 like. We ain't gonna do that.
It takes a long time to memorize that thing, right? I've been doing this a minute.
Right. Right. So, here on the Who Made Y'all Priest podcast, we talk about our spiritual journeys and how we got to where we are right now. So we want to pose that question to you and ask you, what was your spiritual journey like? What was your spiritual trajectory that led you to Ifa?
Woo! So I read this question and I was like, ooh, are y'all ready? I have been, so I was born Shannon King in Cleveland, Ohio. And you know what I'm saying? I've always been like the misfit of my family. I've always been a seer and a seeker. I mean, even from a young age. And so I kind of started this when I was a little girl, around between 3 and 5. My mother would make jokes, and I tell this story all the time. My mother would make jokes about my imaginary friends, because I would just be talking to spirit or what I saw. Then come to find out, I actually was talking to great grandma, and I actually was delivering messages. And my mom would say, oh, don't pay any attention to Shannon. She's, that's her imaginary friends. But I knew, and she knew. Right. It was a lot bigger than that. And so my grandmothers, I come from really strong women in my family, very matriarchal family, but with very strong men. Like my grandparents, I grew up with my great grandparents, and both of my grandmothers they were very much church ladies. One was Brethren in Christ, which is sort of derived from the Mennonite church, like the Quakers. And they settled in Ohio, and it was just kind of convenient because back then the church was across the street from my grandparents' house. And so I grew up with church in my whole life. And then the other side of my family is Pentecostal Baptist. And so it's like you get the ha-he-ho hymnals, right? Right. But I wanted to go to the other side of town where I could get that feeling, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So fast forward, age 13, I go to Pentecostal church with my grandmother, and she knew of my gifts. She was an evangelist. I always joke to say she was an evangelist for the Lord. And she saw all my gifts because she watched me growing up as my mom, because my mom was a single parent. And so she was just like, there's something special about this one. We need to figure out what's going on. I don't know if special was like a little like special, or if it was just gifts that she saw, right? Later in my life, I took it as there was something wrong, right? So anyway, fast forward, we go to Pentecostal church, and the minister fish bowls me. Because my grandmother was the minister, so we sat kind of in the front. And he was like, "You," and I've been fish bowled a few times in my life for this same energy. So he calls me up to the front. When they have the altar call, and you go up, you want to commune with the Lord, and
Right.
join the church and all that. So he calls me up to the front, and he takes this bottle of oil out of his pocket, and he puts a cross on my head and anoints me. I don't know what this is, right? I'm 13. I have no idea what this is. And I start crying and speaking in tongues. I don't know what this is. It's freaking me out, right? So my grandmother kind of took me to the side, and they take you to the back of the church to talk to the deacons, or the whatever they call it. And they were like, "You have a gift, and you need to decide if you want to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, or if you want to learn more about who you are and all this stuff." And at the time, I'm 13, and I'm a very kind of introverted kid, so this is way beyond my capacity, and I never went back. And my grandmother never made me go back, but she always let me know that there was something. I was here to do a job. I was here for a purpose. So I didn't know that was going to include healing until I went to college. And so I went to college, and I went to HBCU, NCCU, Eagle Pride. I went to an HBCU, and I was kind of a fast girl. Not fast in the sense that I was doing too much, but just fast in the sense that I was ready to be independent. So I moved in with my Aunt Lou Charity. She was my grandfather's cousin. So she was like a great aunt. And she had this room in her house that I wasn't allowed to go into. And I'm an obedient child, but I was serious, right? So one day she left the door open, and I looked in, and I saw all these pots and dried things hanging from the ceiling. And she had cages. I don't know what was in the cages. I was too scared to look, but I'm assuming it was like a snake or some sort of thing. She had, a mat on the floor. Now I know what these things are, but back then I was like, okay, let me pretend like I didn't see none of that. Right. I became afraid, right? I was afraid of her. So I was like, I'm one of those people that does not like to be afraid of anything. So I started doing research, and I go to HBCU, so it's real easy to do research on African culture. And I started learning that she was in fact a priest of some sort. I don't know if it was Oseun or if it was Ifa, because I was too young to remember from then, but it just kind of sparked my curiosity. So I started doing research and wrote a paper about African spirituality and Vodun and where it came from. And it just kind of sparked me being curious to know more about myself, because it's my family, right?
Right.
And I recognized that my great grandmother on my other side of my family used to sell little bottles of stuff and herb pouches and sage bundles, and people would come to the house and she would make medicine for them. And so I'm like, this is who I am. Let me start doing some research. And I did National Geographic magazine had the DNA test. Now that's so trendy that everybody was doing. I did this in the early 2000s. And discovered that I am, without a doubt, Nigerian more than any other mixture in my bloodline. And so I just started learning more about the culture, and then more about myself. And I had been studying Buddhism. I had been studying, just different spiritual systems. And I'm from Seattle. I'm not from Seattle, but I moved to Seattle, which is like the hippie capital, where we used to get a bad rap. But we actually are the new age center of where all this stuff started. We were doing this stuff, crystals and meditation, in the 90s. And so it's now popular culture, which fascinates me. But all of it led me back to Ifa. Went to get a reading when I first moved here from a Cuban woman. And there was this webpage called Orisha.net, and she was advertising readings. And I was like, never had a reading before, don't know what it is. Let me go check it out. And she did what I now know is a D Lagoon reading for me. And first of all, I was thrown off because she was white. And I was like, this woman's not going to be able to teach me anything that I need to know about my culture, because I'm bougie too, about my culture. Right? So, but I went to see the woman, and the whole time I'm looking, and I can't remember that. I've been trying to call this Odu, the Odu where they're skeptical of the Babalawo. So I'm looking at her.
Something about when you gotta trust the Babalawo, or you're lying to the Babalawo. Is that the one?
Something like that, right? Like skepticism. And I'm looking at her like she can't teach me anything. So she gave me this reading, and she told me that I'm a daughter of Yemaya, and then she said, let me check some stuff. And she starts throwing things, and she was like, but you're also very strong with Oshun. So then she checked again, and she said, you are what we call dos aguas in our tradition, Lukumi. Do you know what that means? And I was like, no, I don't even know. I don't know what none of this is. Right? Right. She says, come with me. And I follow this woman. And now I think about it, I was like, was I crazy? Into her basement to see her altar. And she shows me her altar, which has a blue side and a gold side, and it's balanced, and she's got drapes and all the things. And she said, this is how you're going to have to live your life. You're going to have to balance this energy, or the gods won't favor you, or the Yemoja and Oshun won't favor you. You have to balance them equally. You have to feed them equally, and you have to make sure that you give one, you give the other, and they have to have the same place in the room. And it was just way overwhelming for me. So I was like, done with that.
Right.
And I didn't believe her because she was white. So I meet this woman, and this is the journey of how I got to E5. But in between all of this, I'm discovering who I am, right? Mm-hmm. Fast forward, when I become initiated priest of Yemoja, these lovely African, Iyas were sitting on the mat, and they looked at me and they told me the exact same thing that white woman told me 15 years ago. So I was like, okay. There's something to this. In between this time, I graduated from Intervisions Institute for Spiritual Development under the tutelage of my master teacher, Evian Van Zant. I studied life coaching and learning how to deal with myself. So that led me to what I now practice as my E5 practice, is a deeper level of myself. Because that's what all of these spiritual systems are about. Knowing yourself, knowing what triggers you, what things come that show you, when you're acting out as a young person, when you're having a temper tantrum at 40, where this comes from. And we studied chakras. We studied effective communication skills. We learned about stages of human development, and this conversation is about trauma, learning what if you have trauma at a certain age in your life. And I've really been digging into this a lot lately, how it shows up in your adult life. So from 0 to 18 months is when you learn trust versus mistrust, because you're at your mother, you're breastfeeding, you're getting that connection, you're getting that stability, you're getting that. And if you don't get that, if there's trauma during that, you don't trust anyone because you didn't get that nurturing, that food from your mother that helps you develop as a young person, or as from 0 to 18 months. I just lost my whole train of thought, which is that this happens. Because so many things. This was a really healing journey for me, actually exploring where I came from in this process. Right. I went out after you guys sent me these questions. I went out and bought this journal, and I started just writing, which I've been avoiding my whole life. I'm not a journaler at all, but it was really cathartic for me to sit down and write down, oh, this is when this happened, because you have all these memories, but to actually put them in some order was really eye-opening for me. On my priest, on my walk as a priest. I went from being a Christian to learning Buddhism to learning that God is in me, to learning that there are angels, guardians, guides, orishas, irumole that will protect me, that will work with me to help me learn how to deal with the trauma that I was trying to learn how to deal with during coaching school. Because
Right.
during the process, you have to, the first year you learn, you coach yourself and you start walking through all of the things that you've dealt with. I had to write 4 papers a month, every month, about me. And
Oh.
I was like,
And this is during Iyanla Van Zant's.
yes, this is
Okay.
Intervision's program. Um,
Hmm.
we had, it was 1 weekend a month, every month, 10 months out of the year for 3 years. I went 3 years. You're supposed to go 2 years, but I didn't pass the first year because I was the queen of resistance. I was not,
Mm.
I thought I knew, I thought I was good
Right. Right.
Right.
in
Yeah.
this
Right.
process. You know, I was like, it wasn't me, it was my parents. I was good. What are you talking about? Right. I just didn't, I wasn't able to see myself. And I was very emotionally immature.
Mm.
Mm.
And the beautiful thing, my mother transitioned in 2008. So me going through this process of 3 years that I went through it were the last 3 years of my mom's life. And so I was able to use my coaching skills to mend our relationship, to
Mhm.
talk about, to work through what I thought was trauma and what she thought was me just wilding.
Right.
um,
Right.
but this process of coaching yourself is what led me to think that um, that I could coach other people.
Right. Right. So how did you transition from going through this program with Iyanla Van Zant to like officially practicing E5?
Good question. So Iyanla, I don't know if you all know this or not. Iyanla Van Zant is a priest. She's
Yeah,
Mhm.
Iyanla. I was telling somebody the other day that's her name.
That's her name, right? Exactly. A lot of people don't know that, but her program it's based on E5 principles, and it's based
Mm-hmm.
on, like, we had a naming ceremony, we had like kind of an Esentaye, we had, a lot of the things that she taught us were things that that we know now as E5, but for me it was learning. She would Let me back up. When she first started, she was telling us that she was a priest in the spiritual system. And I knew about E5, obviously, but I asked her to be my godmother. Well, she wasn't taking on godchildren at the time. Her daughter had just passed, and she was kind of in a, I don't want to do this right now. And so when I was going back home to my life in Seattle, I had met this woman named Ia Falana, who was a tarot card reader. And she taught me a little bit about E5. And so I was kind of learning them in tandem, right? Ia
Mhm.
Falana was teaching me just basic principles of E5. Her godfather wrote the Yoruba principles, or the Yoruba handbook. Baba Karaday is his name.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so she introduced me to that book, and I started reading that book, and then I started seeing that there were chakra points that they were talking about in meditation, and it just made sense to me. At the same time, I'm going to interventions, and Iyanla is teaching us about, you know, um, conscious connected breathing and connecting with your ancestries. We had an altar set up in the classroom. We had an altar set up for her daughter who had transitioned, and then we had an ancestor altar, or an altar set up with, it was like a boba that had water on it. And we learned how to build altars. And I'm not knowing that these things are the same, from the same thing, but she was adamant about not taking me on as a goddaughter, which I was like, okay, whatever. So Alana was like, there's this man that's coming to town. You should probably meet him because he could probably do a reading for you and tell you who your Orisha is. And I was like, oh man, okay. So in walks Baba Femi. I
Mm.
meet Baba Femi. And he does a reading for me. And at the time, my mother was challenged with lupus.
Mhm.
And my life was just crazy. And I didn't think it was crazy. I met Baba Femi. I was dating a man who, while we were dating, went to prison. It was a long distance relationship. He was from Chicago, and I was trying to get him out. So I was like, "Is there some kind of ritual that we can do?" And Baba was like, "Maybe. Let's check." And then, but I was like, "But before all that, I want to know who's my Risha," and so he did this reading, and none of the reading really talked about what I came there for. Like, so tell me about your mom. And I was like, my mom has lupus, and she's. And he dropped that chain. He looked up at me, and he took that white hat off, and he said, "If your mother doesn't make some changes in her lifestyle, she's not going to live by this time next year." Almost a week to the date, my mother transitioned.
Damn.
And I was like, this man is okay. There's okay. He was like, you were born, he was like, this is your path. This is something that spirit is calling you to be in this place in this moment with me, even though you were, trying to do this thing at Intervisions. You're supposed to be in this place right now. And I was just kind of like, there's something to this. And he said, you have these gifts that you have, you just are running from them, and spirit is calling you. And I was just like, okay. So my mother transitions, and I graduated from Intervisions first. I graduated in June. My mother transitioned in August. And then I got a reading from Baba, and he was like, you may need to leave Seattle. Seattle is, because of the energy that you carry, Seattle has such a strong energy of Oya and death. You may need to make a move. So pick 5 places. I picked 5 places. Houston came up as one of the places. So in August of 2009, in August of 2009, I went to visit Houston. In 2008, I went to visit Houston. I was like, oh, I could do this. I could do this. And October, I got my Ishefa. I flew into Houston. I got my Ishefa at the Juju shop. I met Ia Kalade. It was myself, Ia Kalade, Baba Tony, and Baba Femi, and Ia Shangolana at my Itefa. That was it. And I had never been to Houston before. My girlfriends were like, I need to know every name and address of where you're gonna be, who these people are, phone numbers, take a picture of the house that you're gonna be.
Right.
They think they're like, this is something that she's gonna do. We just make sure she's safe. So that was 2009, and then 2008. I moved to Houston in August of 2009, and I went to Nigeria and got initiated in January of 2010. It was like bam, bam, bam.
Right.
But I was kind of on the path already of healing, right? And I was already 2 years. I had gone 3 years with the Iyanla at this point, and graduated with a certification in spiritual development. And then I became a priest. But thank God that I had taken that journey with the Iyanla, because when you become a priest, baby, everything, and Baba used to say it. He was like, there's a fishbowl and there's sand at the bottom of the fishbowl. You're putting clean water into this fishbowl. You're just adding. But what you're doing is kicking up dust. You're kicking up the sand and the sediment that's at the bottom. And it starts to, get cloudy. Then it'll trickle down. Then it'll settle down, and the water will be clear again. And I didn't realize that what that meant was, when you become a priest, that first year of your life, all your stuff, every last thing you can ever imagine, you forgot about.
Right. Yeah. So that was a beautiful journey that you took from being a seer as a child, and that was something that Baba told me about my daughter, was that to really pay attention to her when she says that she sees a wolf in the hallway. She sees a wolf in the hallway. If she's talking to someone in the hallway, she's talking to someone in the hallway. So don't push that to the side, and don't make her feel like like she's crazy or that she's
Yeah,
less than. So yeah, so I really take that
that's
into
interesting. Yeah,
consideration.
it's interesting
Yeah.
that you say that because the first thing that Iyanla Van said to me before any of our classes or any of our healing, she saw me and she grabbed me by my shoulders and she said, "I need you to repeat this." And she looked me in my face, and I do it with my clients now because it just helped me. She was like, "There is nothing wrong with you."
Mm.
And she was like, out of all the profound things that you'll learn in this process, all of the, beautiful modalities that you're going to learn and healing and all that, remember there's nothing wrong with you. You've been going
Mm.
through your life feeling like there's something wrong with you because of what you see, feel, hear, and experience. But there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to learn how to balance it and manage it in your life.
Mm. So that made me think about gathering roots. I've been looking looking at your gathering roots, and it looks like gathering roots is starting to get some traction out there. Y'all are really doing y'all thing out there with the gathering roots. So tell us a little bit about gathering roots and what is your role in that movement?
Whew. Um, I am unofficially the leader of what did I call myself? The leader of Imagine or Inspirational Alchemy.
Mm.
I.e., I'm the executive director of Gathering Roots Wellness Retreat Center, co-director. So during the pandemic, I'm trying to keep this story short because there's so many stories, Lord. During the pandemic, a friend of a friend and I were having a conversation about healing, and she was looking to have like a retreat space on an island because Washington State is surrounded by islands. I love the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, yeah.
But our people are not getting on a ferry to go to this island to go to a retreat that they got to spend X amount of, it's just not going to happen. Right. So I was like, that might not be the best idea. So we started looking for a space and it was always my dream. Even when I went to Intervisions, we had to write out the way you graduated from Intervisions, you had to write what's called a living vision, which is kind of like a plan for your life, like a 10-year plan. And you had to have manifested at least one thing in this plan before you could graduate. And so I wanted to have a bed and breakfast that people could come and get healing treatments and learn, have hydrocolon therapy and, cupping and all the things, acupuncture, and be able to spend the night because I had a bad experience. Like I went and did this therapy thing and I went home and had like a really bad energetically medical experience that nobody could help me with. And I was like, well, I'd like to have a place like that. So anyway, she and I started talking and I was like, well, maybe we should just try to find a place locally. So we started looking at properties. And I found this place in Auburn, which is like 45 minutes from where we are, from the city, from where I live. And we decided to see if we could like start a nonprofit or start a business together. During that time is when all of the George Floyd verdict came out, and we were just seeing Black folks just being killed on Instagram, and it was just a really bad time, right?
Right.
And people were struggling, and so I don't know if you guys know about Seattle during that time, but
Oh yeah, Seattle was rough.
yeah, it was rough. We had CHOP here that they shut down the police precinct, blocked off the whole like 4 city blocks and something like that. It was insane, right? So we were like, we need a place to be able to go out away from the city to heal up, right? Learn some, be able to just be out from under the whiteness in Seattle to just breathe. And so we started doing classes online. We had some yoga classes, we had meditation, we had a daily meditation that I was doing at noon because during this time we had to do shelter in place. And in Seattle, we was on lockdown. Like I didn't leave my apartment for a year. Right. Other than to like go out and just drive just to get some fresh air. And so we started hosting classes online and while we were looking for a space. And I found this place, this house, and it was a really big house. on 22 acres. And we went out to see the house, and we were standing in the yard, and the real estate, there was like this pasture out in front of us. And we were like, wonder if that would be cool if that was for sale. And the real estate agent said, oh, actually it is for sale. So we ended up getting a grant from the Katali Foundation. They offered us money to be able to purchase this 78 acres of land out south of Seattle. And it's the biggest land purchase by African Americans in the history of the state of Washington, which is sad to me, but it's true.
Right. Hey, that right there is something.
It was nothing but Ifa. I'm trying to tell you what I know. I was going to them pots. I was praying. I was like, it happened so quickly. All I could do was be grateful because they gave us that money off 2 conversations and never met me in person. I was just, we were on a panel. We were on Zoom. That's when Zoom was really popular. And I prayed, and I went to Yemoja, and I was like, the work that I've been called to do, and this is going to allow me to do my work and help other people do their work. And I can teach people how to do their work so they don't do the same dumb shit that I did through this process.
Right.
And, we had this conversation, and the people were like, this sounds really, really good. Write a business plan. Now, my co-director who I was working with had already drafted a business plan that we had been tweaking and everything. And so we sent them all of our paperwork. And like 5 days later, we met with them again. And when we ended the Zoom, they called us 30 minutes later and said, we want to offer you this money to do this work. We believe in your vision. We believe in what you're doing. And so now we are in the process of having like soft openings. We're going to rent the space out. We had some challenges, and we call it our moniker on the Instas is the land is medicine. And this land has been a metaphor for this journey. It started out, we bought this land. We're all excited. It's all pretty and pasture-like. And then we discover that the soil is toxic. And then we have to do soil testing, and that it's pasture. There's not really good grass. And then the water has arsenic. So we're having to clean and weed and seed and cut and trim. And we had to take a break during this. And so the grass got overgrown. We had to nurture it back to health. And now we're kind of on fertile ground. We had to let some people left the organization. We added some people to the organization, and it's been a roller coaster. Learning how to be a business leader has been a roller coaster for someone who's like, oh, look at me.
Right.
Yeah, I can imagine. But y'all are doing it big out there. We stay watching you. Always stay looking at the yoga offerings and all of the different offerings. So yeah, we're always watching y'all, and yeah, man, y'all are doing it big. Y'all are doing it big out there.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Y'all have to come. It's time to come.
Oh yeah. That's been on my list to go to Seattle for a while, and I know now why I didn't come, because I needed to come after this so I can go and come see the land and the whole nine, and come see my OIDSI family out of Seattle.
Yes, sir. And we have a nice little close-knit family out here.
Absolutely.
We stay up to we stay out the way. We stay up to the left, out the way.
Right. That's perfect. That's perfect. So this season 3, has been dedicated to healing, right?
Okay.
So for you, what does healing look like? Because I'm starting to really understand that healing isn't a pretty thing. It's messy, it's ugly, it's hard, it's work, it's painful, the whole nine. So what is healing for you?
At this age and stage in my life, I'm learning and have learned that healing is a minute by minute process. Growing and learning more about yourself so that you can shed situations, circumstances, people, places, and things that don't
Right.
serve your highest self, your highest good. I really believe about the God within, and I believe that the only way to get to the God within is to learn the things that are not godly, that I may do based on how I was raised or what happened to me in my life. So healing is really know thyself. It is knowing thyself. Um, there's a healing paradigm that I learned at Intervisions, and it goes: know thyself, see thyself, be thyself, accept thyself, trust thyself, appreciate thyself, and honor thyself. And I try to hit all of them,
Right.
Mm.
because in
Absolutely.
some way, shape, form, or fashion, if you practice all of these, there's no room for slippage. There's no room for you to backslide, as they say in the church, right?
Right. Right.
And in order to know your light side, you have to know your shadow and your, I mean, these are buzzwords now, but you have to know the things. And I know, like in the Road to Priesthood class, they ask the question, what makes you an asshole?
Yep.
Mhm.
What things am I not gonna like about you? What things are that you're gonna do that is gonna trigger me, or what triggers you? You know, learning your triggers and learning to be emotionally mature enough to recognize when you're triggered. You may not know what to do about it, but can recognize, oh wow, did I really say that out my mouth right now?
Mm-hmm.
And pull it back, or atone or apologize or whatever it is that you need to do to stand in your truth, but always stand in your truth.
Right.
Mm.
So you bring up something interesting. I want to ask you this. So you talk about triggers, right? Whose responsibility is our triggers? Is it the responsibility for us to tell the people, hey, this is my trigger, and then you not say or do that? Or is it our responsibility to know our triggers and deal with our stuff?
That's the healing. I have to be responsible for the things that I know that trigger me, because you don't know.
Right.
You could say a word to me and they could bring up some sort of message or something that I received as a child that harmed me or whatever, and you're just talking, and
Right.
I'm already like, or ready to cut your head off, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Or it causes me. For me, I suffer from. I don't suffer from it. Cancel.
Mm-hmm. I
I've
should.
been challenged in my life with anxiety about people, right?
Mm.
I didn't realize I was socially awkward till I got 50, which is really interesting. But um somebody, when I get overwhelmed, when the energy is too much, or the crowd is too dense, or I'm starting to feel other people's energy, because if you're an empath, you're feeling stuff. You may not know what you're feeling or whose it is, but you feel it, right? So I will get irritable and really anxious. And I don't mean it, but somebody could say something to me wrong, and I'll be like, stop talking to me.
Mm.
Not recognize that that's the little scared person in me that's like acting out based on something that happened to me. And, and I don't like public humiliation, because my mother used to be like, our whole family would know all my little business and call you on it in front of the whole family, right? So that public shaming for me is a trigger. Like, if you got something, if I did something wrong, if I said something wrong, if I hurt your feelings, don't call me out. You can pull me to the side and be like, yeah, that was foul. That was wrong.
Right.
You should have said that, or whatever. And I'll be the
Right.
first to be like, I'm so sorry, or I meant what I said. And you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But if you don't know that I triggered you, or that you triggered me, you're not responsible. That's on me.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that, because that's one of my triggers too. Uh, when, like, especially people who've known me forever, when I'm in certain environments and people say certain things, they be looking up like, ooh. Like, I don't like what I call, slang. I don't like high siding. I'm not the one for the showing out. I don't care what it is that I've accomplished or what I've done or what I've had. It may give me confidence in myself, but I don't reflect that on how I treat other people.
Yeah.
So when when you and your ego get to a certain space where you feel like you somebody because of something and you want to respond in that way, yeah, that is the quickest way that's going to set me from 0 to 100. I don't do the ego. I don't care if you are chief this, Baba that. I don't care nothing about none of that. I'm going to respect you just because that's how I get down. I don't care if you've been practicing EFI for 15 minutes or if you are the head of EFI worldwide. You're going to respect me and I'm going to respect you. And the first time you come at me with, because I'm such and such, I'm going to show you how much I don't care about you being such and such. So that's one of my triggers for me. And I be having to breathe. And even my brother here has been talking to be like, hey, just let them have that. just go, and I'll be hot. Like,
yeah, let him make it, man. Let him make it. You know, these are all testing his own humility. These are all testing his own humility, and he is a true son of Shango, and he's gonna have to let go of that that ego. All right, you know, just like he feels that the other people are pushing their ego, he's responding with his own ego. So that's gonna be something that, yeah. That's something that we got to work on. That's something that we both got to work on. That's something that we got to heal from.
You a lot better
5
than
minutes
me,
ago. Huh?
You a lot better than me because you didn't have to talk me off the ledge a couple of times. Where I'll be like, does this person not know I don't care about none of that?
Right. Like, I want Oseun. He got that sweet spirit. He be like, nah, bro, you ain't got to do all that. Nah, bro, you ain't got to do all that. But you know what?
But that's because Oseun, you set him off. If he gets to that point, then you're gonna have to go all the way out. You're gonna have to ride that ride now.
You strike me as a child that takes a long time to get there. Like you like a slow burn, but when you get there,
right. Yeah, it's over.
What you said, Fafore, is I'm the opposite of you. So I don't go off. I implode. Because I had my mother was my mother didn't get married. I was the only child of a single parent until I was like 9. And then my mom got married to my stepdad who raised me and my brothers and my brother's stepsister. Mm-hmm. So because my mother was she was a matriarch. She was very strong, very outspoken. Mm-hmm. Was a pioneer. She was in medicine and, she was, balling for all intents and purposes. Right. I didn't grow up poor. I didn't grow up. I grew up as a princess, which it took me a long time to really be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? But I was the kind of child that if you because she was a harsh reprimander. So I would just retreat and I wouldn't say anything. And then I would be the one in the room like, I hate her. I hope she get hit by a bus. I was that kid. Right. And as an adult, I learned that I didn't have a voice because I would just let people just run amok in my life and do whatever. And I'd be like, oh, I don't want to say anything. I was super polite, super courteous to the point where I wasn't taking care of me. And so I had to learn. And Yemoja, be praised, taught me to take care of myself first.
Mm-hmm. Right. First.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to speak my truth, because Yemoja is blue is the color of the throat chakra. It's communication. It's like, Yemoja is the spirit of meditation. So I had to learn to meditate to be able to quiet my brain so that I could speak my truth from my heart.
Right. See, the thing about me is Yemoja is my mother.
Ashe. Oh, Mio.
Yeah.
Oh, Mio.
And we like a gang. We did like gang.
Right. I say I got beef with Yemoja because I feel like I've been doing this Shango thing way before I even knew who Shango was. I feel like I got that. So when I found out I was a son of Shango and I read about it, I said, oh, yeah. I got that. The Yemoja part, I ain't get. I'm like, but like what you were saying, like, I play too much. I like to laugh, joke. Everything is funny. I don't take pretty much anything serious. So at sometimes that puts people maybe in an energy where they can play with you. So I cut that off immediately, like, whoa, hold on. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. We gonna laugh, joke, and play, but we not gonna do that. The thing that I always get mad is, and I know it's an ego thing, is when I don't react like that at the beginning, then the next time they do it, they like go jump way out the window. So now I got to hit you with the full Shango to bring you all the way back. Because I let you go. Right. I let you go once or twice. You know what I'm saying? And I blame Oseun a lot of times because he be the one to be like.
Yeah, man.
But see, this is the thing. And I'm gonna give you some Yemoja. I'm put you up on some Yemoja game.
I said
it. Yemoja is the energy of the water, right? Mm-hmm. Water symbolizes emotion. Shango, if we all know scientifically, if you mix water and fire, you're gonna get steam, right? Mm-hmm. So with how you pop off, it comes from an emotional place.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the ego is a tricky beast, a crafty beast, as they say. Mm-hmm. It will trick you to think that you're defending yourself when really you're so emotional about it, and you don't have the emotional awareness to recognize, oh damn, I'm saying that I'm going off because I'm angry, but I'm really sad.
Mm.
Because
that's deep.
Tommy stole my bike when I was 6, and they told me to let him make it, and he got to keep my bike, and I'm watching him ride my bike past my house every day, and I can't say nothing, and I'm mad as hell. Right. You know, like stuff like that comes forward when you're an adult, to the point where you're like, you're not recognizing. You're like, I'm mad. No, you're really just kind of sad. And what are you sad about? And you have to take yourself, you have to break it down to the ridiculous. Okay, I feel like I'm mad right now. Why am I mad? I'm mad because this person is trying to play me. Why is that a problem for you? Because I never felt like I had a voice. Why did you feel like you had a voice? Because that kid took my bike, and my parents made me just let it go and let them make it, and I was mad about it, and I couldn't say nothing because if I showed I was angry, I'm gonna get a whooping.
Right.
And it all goes back to that, right?
Right.
Them exerting their trauma on you as a young child.
Wow. That's deep. For me, I know for sure that comes from my childhood. That comes from my mom, because I had some things that I wanted to say, and I always had to bite my tongue on that. So I could see that it's like I'm not doing that. I didn't like doing it then. So outside of that situation, I'm not never doing it. I've been the person where I know where people say, man, I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have said that. Nah, I ain't even have to spin the block. They got it all. Once I started, I was going till I was done. You got here with all of it. But I've gotten better now, which brings me to my next question, though. Because as we talk about healing and from trauma or whatever the case may be, you know, people say they get to this point where they're healed. And I kind of liken trauma or healing from whatever it is you have to heal, kind of like being an addict, where they say, once an addict, you're always an addict. You know, it could be 20, 30, 40 years since you've had any of those drugs, but you're still an addict. Can you fully heal from trauma, or is it a little bit of that always still lurking around?
Oh, that's a juicy question. I feel like you're always healing, but you learn tools and modalities to not project it on other people, right? Mm-hmm. Like we were talking about triggers. Once you learn that you're actually sad and not angry, and you recognize that you don't have a voice, that you're frustrated because you felt like you didn't have a voice, you can go back to say, how do I make that part of me feel better? Let me start speaking up. Let me start speaking my truth. And I can say my truth without having to yell and scream and raise my voice. I can speak my truth regardless of how somebody else feels about it, because it's my truth.
Mhm.
You said this
Mhm.
thing to me, it pissed me off and it hurt my feelings, but I'm working to get past it. That's why I'm coming to you. And I'm saying these things to you so that I can get it out
Mhm.
of me, so I'm not carrying it around, developing some sort of dis-ease because I'm angry. So thank you for pissing me off, because you helped me heal myself.
Right.
Hey, I should.
As I try or make an attempt to study trauma and healing and things like that, I've come to view trauma as um, trapped emotions that create sort of a template inside of you that almost forces you to act a certain way in the future. That your trapped emotions have actually created a different wiring in your brain that kind of forces you to respond to certain triggers. This can be anger, it could be jealousy. Uh, from your perspective, what is trauma? You know, we talk a lot about healing from trauma, but I think for us to be able to heal from trauma, we have to know what trauma is. So what is trauma?
Trauma is uh pain, either physical, mental, emotional, psychological, that is caused outside of you, um, that affects inside of you because of the emotions or the thoughts or the things associated with it.
Mm,
Like, for example, shame. Look at shame, being ashamed of something that happened to you in your life.
Right.
If you go back to, and we talk about healing, so I'm a transparent person. I talk about my life all the time. I was
Sunshine.
molested as a young girl at age 8. I decided that I didn't want to be mad about it anymore because it was never acknowledged. We never talked about it. As a matter of fact, when I exposed it, they told me no one believed me.
mm,
So I was like, okay. And I carried that around with me most of my adult life. And it showed up in various ways, in various relationships. And I kept regurgitating the same relationship in my life until I decided that I'm going to um, free myself from it. This was right
mm,
around the time I went to Intervisions, and I give that program a lot of kudos for helping me see things from a different lens.
Mhm.
And I recognized that this person didn't take anything from me. Although I was walking around feeling like he had taken, like physically, he hadn't taken anything from me. So I had to get with where the pain came from. The pain came
mm,
from the shame of the adults in the situation that one didn't believe me, so I couldn't use my voice. Like, what's the point of even saying anything? No one believes me. Um, which carries forward into me talking and how am I saying this? It led to me as an adult not being able to fully use my voice because no one's going to believe me anyway. So I might as well just not
mm.
say anything, or
Right.
saying too much to the point where I talk myself out of feeling a way about it externally, but internally I'm still mad. I mean,
Mm,
it's like when people say, when you're going through something, that someone says, "How are you?" And you go, "I'm fine." Quit lying. You're not fine.
right.
Right.
The same thing, right? You know you're not fine. So trauma to me is the emotional and mental damage that's been done based on a situation or circumstance or something that happened to you externally that you can't get past.
Mm, mm. You know, you talked about we thank you for being transparent with us about that. You know, I went 30 something years and I had 2 boys, and now I finally have a daughter uh and she's 1. And I think about stuff like that all the time. I think about stuff like that all the time. And Fafore and myself was talking about things that we need to heal from ourselves, and templates that we need to break down. And one of those things for me is violence. Like I've seen so much violence. I've come to expect violence. And so I'm always ready to issue out violence if need be. And I heard a joke on TikTok, a joke about a man and how he felt different about his son as opposed to his daughter. You know, he
Mm.
said that when his son was born, he knew then that he would die for his son, that he would die for his son. But when his daughter was born, he said that he would kill for his daughter. He said, when my daughter was born, I became a murderer. You know, I became a murderer. And that's how I feel about my daughter now. Like hearing those types of stories about women that have been taken advantage of at those young ages, that just, I don't know, that does something to me. And it makes me
Yeah.
think about my own daughter and what I would do to, I just hope she wouldn't lie to me, because I'm going to, whatever you tell me, I'm going to believe you, because I hear stories like that about the adults around not listening and not believing. So I just pray that she would never lie to me about anything like that, because if she were to ever tell me something about that, I'm going to believe her.
Yeah. Don't kill
Yeah.
nobody, Papa. You don't have to.
No,
But I
yeah.
mean, and that brings up a really interesting point for me. I've really been giving a lot of thought and having a lot of conversations in community. Seattle is very, very attuned and very almost OCD about gender and gender fluidity and girl versus boy, and I'm finding that I have a son. I have one son that I birthed and other sons that I love like they're mine. But I was always
Daryl, right?
Yep, Ifadero, that's my son.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out
So
to
your son
Ifadero.
liable to pop off.
Say it again.
So your son liable to pop off.
Nope, because his mother, he's a son of Oseun, so I taught him how to put honey on his tongue.
Okay.
Go to
Okay.
Oseun.
So that's my
His mother-
Efi name. Efi keeps me cool. So I was like, oh, so y'all saying I got issues.
he used to pop. You listen, he was a slow burn too. He was one of those because he's Ogun. He's Oshun Ogun. That Ogun was strong. He'll cut you and cry while you bleeding. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, that's not the answer. And you're 6'6". That's not the answer, right?
Oh wow.
But I was really concerned about him growing up. Like, if somebody put their hand on my son, I swear, for God, that's gonna be a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had to teach him, and my relationship with my son is one of the most beautiful relationships I've had in my life, right? He and I been through some things, but he is an amazing human being, and we're just friends. I think that in another life we were twins, because we can, like, mental telepathy with us is a real thing. Like, I don't even have to say stuff.
Right.
But I had to let him feel comfortable to talk to me about anything and not judge him on anything, because I grew up with the public humility thing. So I was just, and he would tell me all the little all the little bull stuff, that all the things you do as teenagers. He would be like, "Mom, I got something to tell you," and I would brace myself and be like, and he'd always do it when I'm driving, because I can't have a reaction while I'm driving. It's like,
Right.
in the car, he's like, "Mom, something to tell you." And I tell this story all the time, so I know he's not mad about me telling it again. But I snuck to the park and I smoked weed with Julio. Well, who was Julio? This kid in my class was like, "Do you know Julio?" He's like, "No, I don't know Julio." He was like, "I just met him in class." I was like, "Didn't you watch Friday?
Right.
Did you see what happened in Chicken Coop? Do you want?" Listen. And so then I had to educate him on cannabis and what could happen, and like but I never was like, "You hit what? You're grounded forever. You don't be skipping class." You don't. I just talked to him. I was like, "You're dumb, right? That was not a good choice."
Right. Hopefully you told him never smoke a pre-roll. Make sure you watch him roll the blunt.
No, let me tell you what I did do though. I called on my roster friends. I called on the brothers, and y'all know these brothers. I called on J Nap and Doc from the Reggae the Bodega, who are very good friends of mine. They were kind of like uncles. And they were like, "Oh, he's smoking weed now. Okay, we need to take him and have the conversation." And they went off and did the uncle, look here, nephew.
Right.
Don't do this. be smart about it. Don't, it was never, don't smoke weed or drug, just say no and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. I grew
Right.
up going to Jamaica. I smoked weed at 17. It's
Mm.
medicine. It's a plant. I'm not tripping, right? And he's just like, you're not mad? I was like, I'm not mad, but I just have to tell you the truth. You didn't make a smart choice. That wasn't anything could have happened to you in the park, skipping school, smoking weed with people you don't know.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
wasn't about what he did wrong. It was about what could have happened in that circumstance, right? So
Mhm.
I say that to say, just talk to your daughter. Don't treat her like she's your daughter. Treat her like she's your daughter, but make her feel open and and share with her who you are, so that she'll
Right.
feel comfortable to share who she is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. Right. Right. Right. Right.
This is not
So
if it's my life.
you think- no, but this journey of healing it's truly been a journey. It's been a journey for both of us. It's been a journey for those people that are listening to us, that are learning new modalities of uh, healing and things like that. But why do you think healing from trauma is so difficult? Why do you think it's so difficult? And as Fafore said, it's messy, it's painful, it's all of these negative things. Why do you think it's like that?
Because we grow up with blame. You have to have somebody to blame for something that happened to you. It's either you
Mm.
blame yourself or you blame something outside of you, or if you're, excuse me, in your ego, you're blaming everyone or everything. Nothing. You don't take accountability for yourself, and it's always about
Mhm.
what something or someone did to you. It doesn't. It doesn't have to be difficult. We choose to make it
Mm.
difficult.
Mm.
Resistance to change makes it difficult. Not seeing yourself. That is a huge thing. If you don't see yourself and aren't aware of how your behaviors show up, or how your ego shows up, or how your emotions, how you lead with your emotions. I'm a very emotional person for my whole life. It's like, you're so sensitive. You're so sensitive. Yeah, I'm sensitive. I couldn't do this work if I wasn't. Hello.
Right.
But it made
That's
me
a
like,
bar.
I'm sensitive. Ashe. Well, I was like, if I wasn't sensitive, I wouldn't be me. And so
Mm.
I had to learn to not be a victim in my sensitivity, right?
Mhm.
So you learn, like, my feelings get hurt. You say something about, dang, Ian, why you got hair like that? I take it personal. Then my feelings are hurt. But you haven't done anything wrong except speak what you thought was your truth,
Right.
Mhm.
right? But I'm carrying, there's something wrong with me because he said something about my hair, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
where we get caught up in the victimness of the thing. Like,
Mhm.
there has to be somebody wrong. Somebody did me wrong, because somebody has to be to blame. Because most of us
Absolutely.
don't want to see ourselves and look at ourselves and
Mhm.
they're like, I'm being an asshole right now.
Right. Right. You said something that kind of light bulb in my head. When I got my natal chart done years ago by Baba Dari, right before he told me, because I have a stellium in the 12th house, I came here to be a healer. He told me, he said, you're very sensitive, aren't you? And I'm like, no. He said, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at your chart here, and I said, not me. He said, you're not sensitive? I said, not even a little bit. But he kept going. He said, so nobody's ever made that mistake and said I was sensitive. You got the wrong person. And it was a little bit after that, I had a conversation with somebody, and they said something to me. It was so insignificant, I can't even remember what it was. And I felt it on the inside. I said, ooh, why did that hit? And it was something so basic. And then I had to start replaying events of my life. In that moment, I said, damn, I am sensitive. That's crazy. I
Mhm.
never thought about that. But like you said, you have to be sensitive or you couldn't do this work. My sensitivity is a professional hazard for what I came here to do. It's all about the balance though. So
Yes.
it's sensitive enough to connect with the the trauma and the hurt and whoever you came here to work with at that particular time.
Yeah.
But you gotta have the balance to not tip over. And that's why Yemoja teaches us how to nurture ourselves first so we can be whole and be balanced.
I
Ooh,
say.
you just said a word.
I say. I say, and don't apologize for being sensitive. There's nothing wrong. The problem comes when you don't know how to manage your sensitivity, and it leads to you having emotional upset about every little thing people say to you. I had to learn discernment. Like I had to discern, like, wait, is that me or is that somebody else's energy I'm picking up? Or am I tripping? Or are they saying something? Are you trying to throw shade right now? Like I had to like go through this little checklist so that I don't say something out of my mouth that my brain might be like, oh, you shouldn't have said that.
Right. So the problem is he said sensitive, but that is not what I heard.
Right.
I heard something else growing up inner city. Sensitive is there's a phrase for that in our neighborhood.
Right.
That ain't good. So that's what I heard when he said sensitive, and that's really what I was rebelling against. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I am. I get it. I understand how that works. And
that kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the gender thing. Like, y'all had it rough growing up. You weren't allowed to cry. Don't show no weaknesses. You got to be competitive. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be no punk. Like all of these things that we say to our children. Like, I really was careful not to say to my son, "Don't you cry," or "Big boys don't cry." Like, yes, y'all do. My son is super sensitive too, and he would only cry if he really felt it.
Right.
But we're so conditioned to feel like men have to be a certain way and show up in a certain, aesthetic, and you have to be strong, like as a woman, I like a man that's in touch with his emotions. I like someone who's able to say to me, I'm triggered right now. I need a minute. Can we talk later? Cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate the fact that now men are starting to recognize that it's okay to be your full self. Emotional.
I need help with that.
Right. Hey,
I need help with that.
Listen.
But Oseun, let me ask you this. Now, as we've come a long way in our journey, but when she said, I like a man who can say, that triggered me. I've been triggered. How did you feel about that statement? It coming out of your mouth.
I would never say that.
That's the tension, like, I ain't saying that.
Oh yeah, like no, I'd never say that. I have to figure out a more manly way to say that. That's what came in my mind.
A more manly way.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we talk about can you ever be fully healed? Again, I feel like we've come a long way in our journey. But when she said that, I was like, ooh, I would have had to try to say that a different way. That's a sign of we still got a ways to go.
Ooh, a long way. You know, when we went through our take 5, all 10 of us, it was 10 of us, all 10 of us, Baba, the Ojubona, Baba Obaniyi, all of them told us that we are too masculine, that we need to really start to balance with the femininity within us, so this divine feminine energy. And that part is difficult. That part is really, really difficult. Huh?
Did it trigger you, Baba?
It did. And I'll tell you, my first triggering is when, as far as Ifa is concerned, is when Baba told me that my head Orisha was Oya. I called Baba the next day and was like, "Hey, why I get a woman? Orisha?"
I know you got an earful. I know you got an earful.
Oh yeah, I was in my feelings about that, but yeah, you know, I'm still working on that. I still have I'm working on chiseling in a way that you know, that hard exterior. I'm trying not to be a rough Ashley. I want to be a I want to be a perfect and well worked Ashland now.
Catch more bees with honey, boo. You catch more bees with honey.
And I even clowned him and said, man, but your head Orisha is a woman.
But okay, so here's another thing that we talk about real quick. Man, what is a woman and what is a man Orisha? It's energy.
Right.
It's a receptive energy.
Right.
But Oya is the fighter. Oya is the warrior woman. So if you had to have, so what I'm hearing is that as Oya as your head Orisha, there's a divine feminine fighting spirit in you that is trying to get you in touch with who's your masculine? Your
Obatala.
You know, Obatala is the androgynous Orisha.
Right.
So
yes.
There's a lot of the feminine, and you know, men in the South are raised a little different. I'm from the Midwest, which is kind of similar, but in the Pacific Northwest, men are a little more open to that emotional self. But Southern man, listen, I used to be like, "Ooh, I want me a Southern man. Y'all open doors and pull out chairs and all the things, right?" And all of this stuff is man created. It's all created by men who thought men were superior. Which, so Baba, just you know, be easy with yourself. But, you know, call me.
I'm working on it now. I'm working on it. I'm working on it, and I didn't know anything about Oya at the time. I didn't know anything about an Orisha. The only thing I heard was that Oya is a feminine energy. That's all. That's the only thing I heard. That's the only thing I needed to hear, and I was triggered. I was triggered by that.
You know, it's funny you said that. Say that again, Ian.
I said, Oya knows how to get it done. She's the keeper of the marketplace.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's funny because Baba knows what he's doing. Like Baba, the way Baba Chris Paul's a situation is beautiful. Because when he then went to the feminine Orisha, and I didn't know what he was doing, I just knew that I was affiliated something with at the time with a woman. I was like, I had the same thing. Like, what's that about? And he gave me the speech, and I always laugh now, even though I always listen to my Itai, my Ishe 5. And he goes in this whole speech about understanding what does it mean for me as a man to have a feminine Orisha. Because I was like, wait a minute, what's this? Because I'm thinking, like, what's this woman thing? Like, that don't sound proper. So, but
it's masculine feminine balance, and it's funny because I have this hair, right? But my hair used to be, y'all saw me in conference, I didn't have any hair, and I had a young person ask me if I was non-binary, and I had to sit like. At first, I was thrown off. I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And she said, "Well, are you?" She said, "Sometimes you show up very masculine, and sometimes you show up feminine, or femme is what she said." And I said, "I never thought about myself as masculine in any period. I'm the most girly, feminine person that I know. Very much emotional, girly girl." But for somebody to say that, I had to start checking myself. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, there's got to be something that this child is seeing that's making her ask me this question. And then I started going to more of my shadow self. And I was like, oh, my masculine self is pushy and aggressive. And I want what I want. And I have a Leo moon. And I like to be, I like to be seen till I don't. And when I don't, I really don't. But, and I love who I love. I've never checked the gender, the orientation box. And, I'm a queer woman who just prefers men. I love who I love, how I love them, whatever. And I think that that's what she was seeing, but she didn't know how to ask me. So then I just really had to start doing my work on how do I show up as a masculine human and doing the work. Masculine energy is about, action and doing the work and making sure things get done and, movement. And the feminine is more receptive and soft and receiving. And I've known myself to be that way, but I've been in survival mode for the last 5 years. So that's where that masculine driving thing was showing up. So, it's just sitting with where this energy comes from. So, Baba, I invite you to sit with the feminine and ask them what they want to show you, because that energy will show itself.
Ashe.
Plus, you got a daughter, so you have to know what that looks like.
Exactly. Exactly. So on this quest that we are all on, or at least that we all should be on, healing. A lot of people don't mention spiritual healing or spiritual health. How important is spiritual health to healing the whole self?
Spiritual health is the cornerstone of every other kind of health, because you have to heal thyself within to be able to heal thyself without, right? So, Louise Hay has a book called You Can Heal Your Life, and it talks about, what I'm saying? Heal your body, heal your life, right? There are metaphysical principles for every physical ailment you can think of. Anger inside your body turns into cancer, dis-ease. Your body is rejecting itself. Your body is angry. So it's all one. Body, mind, spirit is all connected, and you can heal yourself just as much as you can cause yourself dis-ease, right? Because we always talk about generational curses and generational, things that we brought forward from another life. We also brought healing. We also brought learning about medicine. There are things that I know that there's no way I could possibly know them other than through a past life, through spirit. Like, you'll hear go get some mint, go get some, I don't know, I'm just calling out herbs, some rosemary, boil it on the stove. And, you hear these messages. I know about herbs. I don't know how I don't have a certificate in herbalism, but I know what I know.
Right.
Everything that I looked at a book, I'm like, I knew that already. You know what I'm saying? We bring these things forward. So all of the negativity and dis-ease we can reverse by using affirmations, by, knowing the root of where it comes from metaphysically and spiritually.
Ashe. Yeah, we're gonna get you out of here on this question.
Okay.
So we had a conversation earlier. We were talking back and forth, and you said that you have been reliving your journey, and it's been a healing experience for you. What does that mean?
For me, it has all happened. So I've been a priest. I'm part of the inaugural class of OIDSI priests. I'm OG. I was initiated in 2010. My godbrother Fasami, I think he told this story when you guys were talking to him. But I was always looking for the recognition of my parents through all of the things that I was doing in my life. I wanted to be seen as, professional and a healer and all the things, right? I recognized that all of it stemmed back from looking for external validation, right?
Right.
So many thoughts. I recognized that when I was going through this journey, that I really didn't appreciate myself enough for the work that I've done and the things that I've had to go through, the lessons that I had to learn to become this person that I am now. Because I feel I'm not healed, but I feel better than I have in my whole life, right? And now I'm over 50. So I'm like, how is it that it took me this long to get here? But writing this down, I started noticing little lessons that I learned along the way to help me shed and heal the little girl in me. And now I'm able to be like, yeah, you know what? I never say, excuse me, that I've been a priest for 13 years, really, unless somebody asks me. I've been doing this work for a long time, and I've taught meditation, and I've, led workshops and all the things, and I never really stopped to appreciate myself for staying with the healing, staying with being okay to be uncomfortable, staying with ridicule and all the things that have happened to me in my life. So the evolution of me, this helped me realize the evolution of me and to be able to tell my story in the hopes that somebody hears something that I did that was off, or, you know, the crap and crud, as Baba says, that we do in our life, to not do that. That these young priests coming up don't do the dumb shit that I did as a priest. You know what I'm saying? Taking on way too many godchildren and not really knowing what that means and what to do with it. And these people are like wanting me to help them with their life. And I was like, I'm not ready. It's too late now.
Right.
You already signed up. Come on now. So this journey kind of has helped me to heal some things that I thought about that I was able to release in meditation. Because we started talking about this around new moon, I think it was. And I was like, I want energy in this priest walk that I'm walking. I want to bring in new energy. And part of this process is, you know, talking to y'all and going through thinking about, because you move so fast, sometimes you don't stop to think about where you've been.
Right.
You forget who you are. I've been kind of sloughing on my, or what do they say, slacking on my pimping. Like my daily routines. And like I was asking myself, what do you do every day that helps you stay in the spirit? I get up, I say the prayer to my Ori. I thank why am I wanting to say Olodumare? I thank Arumila for showing me my destiny, showing me my highest purpose. And then I go to my ancestors and say, okay, y'all, we starting another day. Let's go. I need help or whatever. Right. But I had been not doing that during the pandemic because you're in the house so much. I was like, they know what I'm doing. I'm sitting right here. I'm not going.
Right.
So thank y'all for having me review my life and my journey as a priest. You know, 13 years is a long time to do something. I think it's the longest thing I've done my whole life, other than reading.
Right. I say. You know, something that you said in that, something came to me one time. I was just, you know, looking at, you know, Odu's or whatever. And I came across the Odu Okorano tour. And I came into a verse that said, don't be mindful of those who make jest of us. In time, if I will show them the folly and error of their ways.
Ashe.
So take a bow as we applaud you for everything you are and everything you have been and will be.
Ashe. I'm super grateful for being here. And, you know, y'all are younger priests, but y'all are doing the work. This is so dope. You know, and you're giving us priests that you're interviewing, and I don't know if anybody's told you this, archives and legacies so that our great-grandchildren can see this whenever. You know, I always wonder, who was my grandmother? Well, now you can see videos, see who that crazy lady was.
I say that's dope. Yeah, because this will live on for as long as there's an internet.
Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts, you know, sharing your spirit and family. So before you got on, I told everybody to be on the lookout for your big, beautiful smile. Family. I told y'all I didn't lie because she been giving it to us the whole show.
Man, thank you for that. You know, this smile, I used to not like it. So I used to not show it. I didn't smile at all on purpose. So now that I can, it is what it is. Thank you. This made me happy. So I'm in a good mood today.
Good. It's good to hear that. Well, this is the finale to season 3 of the Who Made Y'all Priest podcast.
Dang.
Man, family, this is
season 3. This is season 3.
This is season 3. And man, we thank y'all for this journey. And this season was as much for us as it was for everybody else. We all need healing. I don't care if you're a priest. I don't care if you're a pastor. I don't care if you're homeless. We all have something, right? The theme that you've heard consistently throughout this season is A, everybody needs healing. And B, you got to know yourself. So hopefully In the gap between now and season 4, you'll have stories about how you have progressed in your healing. You utilize one of these different modalities. You got to know who you are, and you came to a place of healing. And again, most importantly, is knowing yourself. And that is the reason why I'm going to end this episode off the same way I end every episode. Life's a journey. Don't forget the map. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.
Peace.
You can live a life full of love and light if you just let the Spirit guide you. It's the remedy where you'll find peace, but you must let the Spirit guide